for a midweek for the Congregation family. Get built up, learn about Jesus, learn about how to live redeemed, learn about tonight. I couldn't be more excited that you're here with me. Guys, it's crazy. It's Wednesday at 7, and I promise you it's going to be fantastic. So I have a read to talk to you guys about and just love on you and support you. And as I'm talking in the chat, let me know what you're thinking. Let me know how this is hitting you, just to kind of get what you guys are feeling. And so the title tonight is about how not to miss your moment. Caught up with stuff. There's so many distractions everywhere. You know, I worked as a writer for a long time, and so one of the things that they tell you is that it takes 16 to 20 impressions for a person to notice an ad. And so when a company is trying to put out ads to get consumers and clients potentially to be interested in what they're doing, they will tell you that it takes 16 to 20 impressions. A person has to see an ad 16 to 20 times before they even notice it. That's crazy. And so on average, a person sees over 10,000 images in a week. Talk about distractions. It's like every is a new product, there's a new service, there's a new voice, there's a new person. There's just so much coming at us all the time. It's easy to talk about how to say no to the distractions in life and how to say yes to the moments that God is performing. So there's a story in the New Testament about a man named Peter. You might not know who Peter is. A lot of you do. Peter is a very interesting guy. Peter was a disciple of Jesus, and he was one of Jesus's closest disciples. He was kind of, arguably, maybe the closest one. And so Jesus had a special place in Peter's heart, and we know that because he's always being talked about. He's a bit of a scoundrel, Peter. He's maybe the blue-collar guy of the group, right? And he's always doing crazy stuff. He's always like cutting people's ears off or getting in fights, or, you know, Peter's Peter. And so he's passionate, to say the least. And so he is a follower of Jesus, and he's kind of the number one guy in a way. There's not really a rank order system out of the disciples, but you could see that Peter and Jesus have like a very special relationship. And so, like gung-ho, like he is all in on this Jesus thing. And so he's been following Jesus for 3 years. And you could tell he's like fully committed to the cause, and he loves following Jesus. He loves his Messiah. He would do anything for his Messiah. That's why it's so shocking that when Jesus goes to the cross and he gets arrested by the Romans, Peter freaks out. He can't handle it. And so he famously denies Jesus that he's a disciple. He denies that he even knows who Jesus is. So this man, loyal disciple to Jesus, who had followed Jesus for 3 years, who promised Jesus the night before, during the Passover, the Last Supper. We've all seen the painting. Peter is there. He even tells Jesus then that he would never leave him. This man denies Jesus 3 times. On the same day, Jesus. And so Peter misses the moment. He completely starts tail spinning, like so many of us do. You know, sometimes when we miss the moment in life, we know we missed a moment. Maybe it was a relationship where we were in a relationship and we kind of hit the eject button and it all blew up. And then we look back later and say, yeah, I think I missed that moment. Or maybe it was a job opportunity. Maybe you got an incredible job, but you couldn't handle it, right? Maybe you did something dumb and that blew up. And it's like, yeah, I really missed that opportunity. Or maybe it was a friendship. You had this incredible friendship, but then something happened and you got in a fight and it blew up, and you are left saying, man, I really miss that moment. In life, we all miss moments. We all screw up. We all do things we never thought we would do. And we all have human moments. Why? Because we're human beings. And so part of what it means to be a human being is that we go through and deal with broken moments. The key is when we miss a moment, that we don't miss every moment waiting for us on the other side of learning how to get back up. And so the rest of the story is amazing. So Jesus resurrects. He resurrects from the dead. No one thought he was going to cross, and then he resurrects. Then he gets brought back to life. And so now Jesus is resurrected, and everybody knows what it means because no one expected Jesus to resurrect. And when Jesus resurrects, he goes back to his disciples and he reveals himself to them. And he sees Peter. And he knows what Peter has done. And you can feel it in the story. You can feel the shame Peter's got. You could really feel that Peter knew he missed this moment big time. But Jesus is not going to let him miss the next moment. And so Jesus goes to him. And he embraces him. And he brings him back in to what he's doing. He forgives him. And it's so interesting because even after this incredible moment of Jesus revealing himself to Peter in front of all the disciples and everyone knowing what Peter just did a chapter before, and then Jesus forgiving him and embracing him in light of the resurrection and all of these things that now Jesus is talking about God is going to do in and through this resurrection, the restoration of all creation now. Everything is going to be restored. Everything is going to be redeemed. Everything is going to be resurrected in the same way that Jesus was resurrected. You would think that after Peter sees the body of Jesus and then hears about what God is going to do in and through Jesus, that he might want to be in on it. But Peter does something so relatable. He hears all this, and then he goes home, back to the town he had grown up in, and he starts fishing again. And so there's an incredible story where Jesus travels back, the resurrected Jesus, travels back to the village that he first met Peter at to make sure that he wasn't going to miss this new moment. Sometimes in life, when we miss a moment, we count ourselves out and we convince ourselves that nothing good can happen again. I was hurt in this relationship. I'm never going to be happy again. I lost my job. I'm never going to be successful again. Right? I got a divorce. I'm never going to have my family life again. Whatever it is, that I can't do this. And so Peter, like all of us, counted himself out because he had missed a moment. And so he goes back. He doesn't know what to do. He goes back to the place where everything started and goes back to fishing. After seeing the resurrected Jesus, he goes back to fishing, thinking, God can't do anything through me. Peter, the man who walked with Jesus for 3 years, the man who was one of his most loyal disciples, the man who was taught how to minister, how to pray for people, who learned at the feet of the best leader who have ever lived, he thinks that he has nothing to give? Jesus goes to Peter and he hangs out with him. He fishes with him. It's crazy. And then he makes food with him. And as a reader, you're reading the story and you're like, okay, like, what happens next? And as Jesus is sitting with Peter, he looks at Peter and he says, Peter, Jesus says this. He says, Peter, will you feed my sheep? And Peter goes, of course, Lord. Yeah, of course. I mean, my gosh, I followed you for 3 years. Why would I not? Of course, anything you need. And then Jesus says, Peter, will you feed? And Peter goes, I just said I would, of course. I'm in the game, man. I said yes once. I can be called up again. And then Jesus waits again, and he says, Peter, will you feed my sheep? And at this point, you can hear Peter's not only frustrated, he's starting to get hurt by this. They've had a special connection. He's lived and by this man and served this man and served the purposes of this man. And now this man is for him. And Peter again says, of course. And you can see that Peter has counted himself out. And he is asking Peter, can you find it in yourself to let go so that you might say yes to me? I love this relationship, not to be there, but he was there. The resurrected Jesus. Okay, guys, so Jesus resurrected. He's resurrected. Hang out with the same group of people. He's a resurrected Jesus. He can literally do and go wherever he wants. He could be with any person ever in the world at that moment. Yet he goes back to Peter's hometown to go get him. That Jesus is saying, I'm here. I am doing the work of my Father. I am resurrected. And I am going to resurrect everything else. We are in a moment. Peter, don't miss this moment. Don't miss what I am trying to invite you to. Don't miss what I'm trying to get you to be a part of. I'm Peter, I'm Jesus, I'm in front of you. I tracked you down. I am and I want you, Peter, to be a part of it. And I don't just want you to be a part of it. I'm going to take pieces of your life, and then I'm going to give you my Spirit. The same Spirit that resurrected me from the dead is the same Spirit I'm going to empower you to say yes to this moment. And all of that is in those 3 questions that Jesus is asking Peter. Will you feed my sheep? Peter, we all have moments we've missed. It's okay. I forgive you. But please, don't let that mean you're going to miss this. And so today I want to encourage you that there is a new moment on your horizon, that God is doing a new thing in your life. God is restoring you in a way that you can't even see yet. He is redeeming you to a place that you haven't reached yet. And you can't articulate it because you haven't gotten there yet. But God is the author and the finisher of your faith. He is the great God who defeated sin and death. He is the God who is restoring all things. And that God is now in front of you. And he's saying, don't miss this moment. Don't miss having a relationship with me. Don't miss serving alongside of me. Don't miss what we're going to do in and through God's redeemed people. Don't miss the restoration. Don't miss the redemption. Don't miss the salvation. Don't miss all the things that God is going to do. And certainly because you're counting yourself out. I just want to say today, say yes to with Jesus. Say yes to growing in Jesus. Say yes to being on Team Jesus. Say yes to everything God is doing and everything God wants to do in your life and through your life. Today, say yes to this new moment and be a part of feeding God's sheep. God bless you. Have an incredible week. I will see you Sunday at 10 a.m.